The next-gen pocket gimbal with superb filming performance is here, a company backed by Xiaomi with their second attempt to beat the DJI Osmo Pocket. So how good the Fimi Palm 2 actually is? Let's inspect. Hey, welcome, nice to meet you, I'm Michael, and I'm very thankful that you've chosen this channel in order to get familiar with everything relevant to this new kid on the block, which is called the Fimi Palm 2. Yes, a new generation of the next DJI Pocket wannabe. Because if you've never heard of DJI Pocket, that was bad, I think you should get familiar to the series, and I've reviewed the second generation just a few weeks ago, and it's something like a standard, and so everybody's trying to catch up with everything that this little device is offering in terms of image quality. Now, the Fimi Palm 2, and what is it about its new generation? Well, DJI have changed a lot in their pocket line DNA internally. Most of the changes between Fimi 1, this is the Fimi 1, and Fimi Palm 2, as you can see, it's on the outside. It's mostly the design, because internally, well, some things are different, but concerning image sensor and processor, not that much. I've heard some rumors that in certain countries there have been lawsuits by DJI because of the design of the first generation of the Palm, so it could be that Fimi have rushed their second generation in order to escape from that. But the truth is that on the inside, and in terms of image quality, performance and user experience, it's still the same old power horse. The Fimi Palm has been launched at the price of $199, which is a bit more than the predecessor, comes in the same price niche as Feiyu Pocket, it's cheaper than Snoppa's V-Mate, and much cheaper than DJI Pocket 2. Each one of the mentioned so far gimbal cameras have been thoroughly reviewed on the channel, and I'm going to link these videos in the description below. Since most people will compare directly to DJI Pocket 2, the price gap to the basic edition is $150 and almost $300 to the combo edition. Since we're playing fair and comparing things as they are, DJI are offering a wireless microphone extension as well as carrying case and tripod, so even if we buy a good external mic, a tripod and case, the price will still be more than $200 less than what you pay for the DJI Masterpiece. But again, is this good enough? By the way, I take the opportunity to thank Pergear for giving me the test unit. They have always been extremely supportive about me testing new gear, so the least I can do is to encourage you to check their website and shop from the links provided in the video description. This is not a sponsored video, and everything you're going to hear is based on my own experience and research. Let's unbox now. We've got things right here. The pack is kind of slim. I actually couldn't recall how it felt with the Fimi Palm 1, but must have been somewhat similar. In fact, I'll take the opportunity to show you what is with the old generation. It hasn't been used for 5 months, and the battery was dead. Sadly, looks like the battery performance is severely degraded now after just a year, and I also noticed a huge problem with the exposure, which tends to overexpose different scenes outdoors, something I never had a few months back, so I'm already a little skeptical about the second generation. The DJI Osmo Pocket, which I use for close to 2 years now, is without any issues. The battery is not as good as it used to be, but still lasts about an hour. On the other hand, the Palm 2 looks a lot different. There's now a dedicated box, neat idea, and it's been invaluable while testing it in the rainy, snowy winter we have this year. The unit has a lot more glass on the front. I think Fimi could have added a larger display. Part of it could have been for the configuration and the dedicated area as a monitor only, but instead, it's similar to the first generation setup. Touch-based, not that well visible outdoors, and with exactly the same menus that I'm going to guide you through a little later. First, the specs. The superb 3-axis mechanical stabilization. Chipset inside is the well-known HiSilicon 3559, same as what we had with the previous generation. Image sensor is 1x2.6-inch large, 12 megapixel. The lens is with 128 degrees ultra-wide field of view, a huge 2600 mAh battery, nice colorful touchscreen, inbuilt Wi-Fi, control joystick, face detection and smart track, and very important, 3.5mm microphone input, which is on the rear side of the unit. At a glance, while the outside has changed in a way it's hard to say that both units belong to the same product type, the inside is disappointingly similar to last year's pack, with exception for the battery, which should now be fine and hopefully well functional in the long run. So, in a nutshell, okay-ish performance, however drastically falling behind the DJI Pocket 2 and even the GoPro Hero 9 in terms of frame rate, and Fimi focusing on exceptional battery endurance. Before getting disappointed, hear me out, 90% of the people don't really need to use slow motion, therefore having the perfectly crisp and sharp 4K in 30 or 24 frames per second at 100 megabits bitrate is good enough and superior to most action cameras and similar gimbals. Unlike DJI Pocket, the Fimi Palm 2 doesn't deploy a focusing mechanism and relies entirely on the so-called infinity focus, just as the most action cameras these days. It means that there is no possibility for the focus parts of what you're shooting, the so-called shallow depth of field. The unit continues to not be waterproof, which is also kind of expected. An audio test you would be asking for, and here is one with the Fimi Palm 2, and that's the internal microphone of the gadget. The placement of the microphone is a little bit weird because you can easily put your finger on top, and I guess now the audio quality is much worse. So be careful how exactly you hold it. In terms of microphones, this is really a great device, mostly because of the microphone in jack that you could use without any additions, unlike what we have to do with the DJI Pocket 2 and similar devices where you need either a dongle or a USB Type-C to 3.5mm or something similar. I was told that actually this microphone inside is a little bit worse than what it is with the first generation. But I don't know, you tell me, use the comments and let me know, do you like the internal microphone quality? Now, the much more interesting part is about the software and the performance. First of all, the menus and the navigation. They're easy to get used to and rather easy to understand. Plenty of different shooting options. Besides 4K at 30 frames per second, there also is the 25p Palm mode and the cinematic 24 frames per second. Going for lower resolutions, you're going to unlock greater variety of frame rates. None of them will, however, exceed 120 FPS, so it's not a slow motion power horse. There's also a dedicated Pro mode enabling manual ISO and shutter control. So if at some point you decide to follow the 180-degree videography rule, buying lens filters will come handy. Good news, most filters compatible with DJI Pocket will be fine here too, and I'll link in the description my favorite pack by Freewell. Couple more pro-grade features worth mentioning here. You can shoot in the so-called F-log mode, allowing you to preserve more details in the very dark objects and the very light areas. It's something that you need to edit after shooting, so I recommend using it only in case you plan to do post-production. Also, there's HDR mode, enhancing the overall image quality and giving better, deeper colors. Since the lens is wide-angle, it has distortions. In the menus, however, you're gonna find a distortion correction feature, which is supposed to straighten up bent trees and similar stuff, but you may still feel a little weird about the objects and the edges of the screen. The gimbal can work in a few different modes, locking some of the axis or being entirely free to follow your movements, the so-called FPV. In terms of stabilization, it definitely can challenge DJI, as I find it to be very stable and smooth, and with a bit of patience you can film some great videos. There's a dedicated selfie mode with the firmware being well trained to recognize your face. On top, you can track different objects as well, but not with the same success rate as the market leaders. Fimi advertise the TikTok function. Looks like there are more and more people looking for easy-to-use TikTok-friendly devices, so the Fimi Palm is the first camera gimbal with dedicated mode, if that counts. There's a significant improvement with the smartphone app, offering now a lot more options and some templates to get creative. That's a very DJI-like decision, and if your goal is to shoot and quickly edit the videos and post them online, that's just great. If you're looking for some comparisons, now is the time to enjoy. I was a little surprised that DJI Pocket 2 with the wide-angle lens is almost as wide as the Fimi Palm. The difference is only around 15 degrees. At least this is one small battle won by Fimi Palm 2. Here comes the storm though. Observe the dynamic range, the colors, the behavior of shadows and highlights. side by side with the Pocket 2, and the Fimi Palm starts to look bad. When it comes to low light footage, things are getting even worse. I've already shared my opinion that if you add some post-production to the Pocket 2, it may look stunning. Placing the devices side by side shows that there's no chance for the Fimi Palm 2 to win. Main reason for all that is the image sensor, which is a lot better and larger inside the DJI Mate device. These camera gimbals are anyways not intended for low light, but I was hoping that since it is targeted as TikTok and vloggers, the performance indoors will be at least very good, and it's just not good enough. Starting with these major drawbacks, I'm going to add to the minuses the cheap-feeling camera part, the lack of further menu development, the strange placement of the internal microphones, and the inability to shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, which, I repeat, might not be an issue for most people. On the other hand, for the record, Samsung just announced 60p recording in 8K for their smartphones. Anyhow, having a number of drawbacks doesn't make the Fimi Palm 2 a bad choice, not at all. You can certainly find drawbacks or imperfections with every single piece of tech today, and the goal is to somehow hit the sweet spot. The Fimi Palm 2 definitely nails it with the joystick, the easy microphone input, and with the battery life. They are amazing. The rest, it's totally okay, but it's a shame that there's close to zero hardware and software improvements other than the mentioned. To me, the Fimi Palm could have easily been called Fimi Palm 1 Summer Edition or Funky Edition. It just doesn't deliver the changes, or at least not yet with the initial firmware state. But for $200, it will continue to be attractive because it's just a bit more expensive than an action camera, but it's a lot more powerful and useful for vlogging and a lot better in terms of stabilization. So I can both endorse and criticize, and while you're wondering what to watch next on YouTube, take a moment and let me know what you think of the Fimi Palm 2. Not yet good enough, or the best budget DJI Pocket alternative. I think we can all agree that whoever calls this a Pocket 2 killer is either seriously exaggerating or simply not familiar enough with the capabilities of both devices. But it's definitely fun to use. I hope that this video has been useful so far and all the samples helped you to get to know the Fimi Palm 2 better, and maybe even more to better understand the world of camera gimbals. If the task was accomplished, please hit the like, check if you're subscribed to the channel. Hitting that bell next to it will notify you about each new video that we post here every week. If you like the Fimi Palm 2, then use the link from the description and get it at a discounted price. That's all I had to say today. Thank you for staying till the end and for supporting me and the channel, and I, Michael, look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye!